So let's start off with a look at how local leaders are trying to get more people vaccinated. Today, D.C. launched its new vaccine pre-registration site. As of noon, the mayor's office says more than 48,000 people have already pre-registered. No big problems have been reported. That is good news, but there are still a lot of questions about this process. Our Kolbie Satterfield, she's going to kick off our coverage with those answers tonight.
For the tens and thousands of people who registered for the COVID vaccine in D.C. today, many of them are hoping to make it here to D.C.'s mass vaccination site. But D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser says it could be some time before you get to this point.
Today was going fast.
Philip Wagner is one of thousands who logged on this morning to pre-register for the COVID-19 vaccine.
Should have been extremely straightforward. And then there's a random question in there about preferred vaccine.
He's referring to this question. Do you have a preference for one of the COVID-19 vaccines?
If I select one of the vaccines, does that automatically eliminate me from one of the other buckets?
D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser says no, it will not impact whether or when people are selected for a vaccine appointment. But she says the response is part of the district's data collection. Another big question we saw, when will others be able to get the vaccine? Bowser says it could take days, weeks, or months, depending on your risk factors and eligibility before it's time for your appointment, but is reiterating that only people currently eligible should be pre-registering at this time.
Let me be clear about who we're asking to register this week. We want people who are currently eligible to register.
For those who did pre-register today, despite it not being your turn, vaccine appointment selection is based on who is eligible.
There will be no benefit to being the first person on Wednesday to register.
Wagner chose to wait and not bombard the site the second it went live.
I didn't log on for the first hour, and that was just deliberate.
And is making sure he has all his questions answered before he hits submit.
For those who are eligible and pre-registered, the first vaccine appointments will go out Friday and Monday. But going forward, the mayor's office says those invitations will go out Thursday, Sunday, and Tuesday mornings before 10 a.m. In D.C., Kolbie Satterfield, WUSA 9.